Alright, welcome back to the channel, everybody. Hope you're having a fantastic day. I wanted to take a minute to talk to you guys about the state of the game of Star Citizen, specifically the timeline for production of this game. Every video I put out, I almost always get some sort of comment about how it's been 10 years and the game is not finished yet, and how it's a scam and it'll never be done, and how we waste our money pledging or waste our time playing this game because it's never going to be finished, and how it's got so many bugs and it's still in alpha. It's been 10 years, it's still in alpha. Like, get a grip, guys. How are you still falling for this 10 years later? Now, to those of us who play this game regularly, I'm sure we all have our answers for why we play this game, why it's fun for us, and I'd love to hear all of those in the comments. Why do you play Star Citizen when it's been 10 years in development and there's, no real end date? As far as I'm concerned, when I see these comments, first of all, I know you probably haven't spent that much time in the game, and if you have, maybe it's just not your thing, and that's fine. But I just want to say that everybody who is not giving this game a chance, or to everybody who doesn't like this game because it's quote unquote not finished and it's spent so much time in development and it's still in alpha, just want to say it does not matter that the game is not quote unquote finished. So let me explain my thought process here. The term finished is a relative term, and yes, I would also say Star Citizen is not finished. Then again, neither is Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Though games nowadays, they don't get finished until the very end of their life cycle. It takes 2 or 3 years for a game to be in its final state. A lot of times they take it to a place we don't want it to be taken to, or they change it from the original idea. The difference between Star Citizen and Call of Duty is that Call of Duty will say, here's our brand new, fully finished, polished game, and everything is perfect about it. Now pay us $70, please. Pretend that is the end of the transaction. It's not. Month after month after month, they're going to continue to change things. They're going to continue to work on bugs. They're going to continue to patch stuff. They're going to be updating the store. They're going to be creating events. They're going to be coming out with season after season after season. No game in 2022 in this era of gaming is finished at release. And I would venture to say that no game is finished until the end of its life, until it's completely dead. They're not finished tweaking it. Now, obviously, this doesn't much apply to like single player games, God of War and Horizon Zero Dawn, like those types of things, Dying Light 2, like those games need to be in its final state when it releases, or else it doesn't work, right? But I'm talking about multiplayer PvP experiences. So that's my first point, is there's no such thing as a finished game anymore, regardless of what the developer claims about how finished it is. My second point is this: even in its unfinished state, Star Citizen, for one, has content. It has a whole working economy. Now, it might not be as much as we'd like it to be, but it's certainly there. And I would say for the entry price of $45 for the lowest pledge ship you can get, which will get you plenty of playtime, and having most of the ships available to buy in-game for literally no money, like, the game is worth $45 to me, especially when you consider that there's nothing else like it. Nothing. There's nothing else. Nothing else does what Star Citizen does. Yes, okay, there are plenty of bugs. It does not work perfectly, and there's a lot of things that we wish that were different, okay? But I'll tell you this, I get less frustrated with Star Citizen than I do with Battlefield 2042, a AAA game that was released in a less finished state relative to its goals than Star Citizen is right now. And those are just the facts. Battlefield 2042 delivered on what? I don't even know, 25-30% of what it promised, of what we all got hyped up for. Star Citizen delivers on way more. They undersell this game because it's in an alpha state. I think people get confused because they see Star Citizens and CIG and Chris Roberts talk about what the game will eventually be and what they want for the future, and they see all these things that aren't in the game yet, and they think, it's been 10 years, why isn't all this stuff in the game? But what they don't see is the huge list of things that are in the game that weren't in the game when it started. Star Citizen is gonna, more than it has already, and more than it is doing right now, it's going to change the landscape of gaming. A lot of the reason I play this game is because I like to be in on the ground floor. And no, 10 years later is not quite the ground floor. I am aware of that. I started really late compared to a lot of people. But with how much there is to go, and the ceiling that there is for this game being somewhat limitless, I still like the idea of being here before it's quote unquote finished. Which it will never be, by the way. The game will never be finished because, again, games aren't finished anymore. This is the internet, okay? This is life with online games. It's just how it's gonna work from 2010 and on. This is just how it's gonna be, and we're gonna have to get used to it. Another thing I want to say about the difference between Star Citizen and other games is I want to point out the transparency of the development process CIG gives us. Like, you think about playing Call of Duty or Warzone or something, everybody in the entire world could be complaining about something they put in the game, or asking for a reason of why things are the way they are in the game, or asking what the next thing in the game is going to be, and you will get zero contact from the developers or the publisher or whoever in that AAA game that's happening. You'll get no answers, you'll get not even an acknowledgement that something is wrong. In Star Citizen, they literally post weekly updates on YouTube on what they're working on. They give you at least a yearly or bi-yearly lengthy update, like a conference or some other format, Q&A or video or presentation or something, to tell us exactly what they're working on, why things in the game are in the state that they're in, their approximate timeline that they have for features, some of which, yes, fall by the wayside because you cannot predict the future. You can't expect them to predict everything they're going to have to deal with when inventing this thing, and that's why it doesn't worry me that much. These people want this game to succeed. They're not done with it. If they were done with it, they would stop working on the game and go spend their billions of dollars. Like, they're using the money that we give them to make the game better, and they show us exactly what they're doing all the time. So no, I don't get frustrated with this game because the developers have earned my trust, and maybe that's misplaced. Maybe I'm a sucker for trusting a development team, and hey, I am probably one of the most cynical people in the gaming community about how a new game's gonna do, or whether or not these devs can deliver on their promise. But when it comes to Star Citizen, they've got a good track record, and what they're doing and the amount of transparency they have in their process fills me with confidence. So then I have a third point here. What would you, to the people who complain that Star Citizen is not finished and that it won't ever be finished and that it hasn't been finished, what would you like them to do? Exactly what would you like to see that would get you to say, okay, Star Citizen, they did the thing. It's cool now. I like it. That's partially a genuine question, but I partially feel like I'm asking it in vain because there's nothing that they could do to get you to get on board. And a lot of people just like to hate. And those are the facts of life. No matter what you're doing, if it's something cool, if you're doing something new, something revolutionary, there's a lot of people who aren't going to understand, and they're going to hate on it because people don't like what they don't get. Would you rather Star Citizen dropped their pencils right now and said, okay, we're selling this game for $45 in a finished state, and this is the game? Like, no, why would you want that? I would rather them keep tweaking. Sell it to us at a discounted price, like what they're doing, and keep tweaking it, keep making it better and better, and adding more and more futuristic features that no other games have. I think people underestimate the difficulty that this game faces, and I'm not a game developer, so I don't know the full extent of what goes into actually physically developing this game. Even I can tell you, because I've played a lot of games, CIG and Chris Roberts, they're attempting to answer questions that have not been answered before. Like, it sounds cheesy, right? But they're going in uncharted territory. There's no roadmap for this. There's no list of things you have to do to make Star Citizen work. They have to just invent it themselves. Before Jimi Hendrix, there was no one like Jimi Hendrix. Before Eddie Van Halen, there was no one like Eddie Van Halen. They're attempting to make a persistent game with a massive multiplayer experience. They're also making a single player campaign at the same time. They're constantly working with the physics of how the game flies, of the features of the economy, the financial system. Everything is constantly under review. We are alpha testing it, and the game is cool enough, we will all pay to be part of it. Figuring out how to balance the player experience, feeling of success in the universe of Star Citizen, while also providing a sandbox, no limitation, free will type player organization system, is going to take a lot of work to figure out balance and how that's actually going to go. Because as far as I know, there's not been a game that has gotten that quite right. So no, Star Citizen is not finished. And when you say Star Citizen will never be finished, I'm inclined to agree with you. But I say to you, where is the problem in this? Because no game is finished nowadays. There's no such thing as a final date of where the devs stop tweaking the game. And the game is playable now. It's not like Star Citizen says, hey, give us $45 and you can play the game. And they've said that for 10 years and we haven't been able to play the game. Like, we've just thrown money into the abyss and we've never seen a result. There are a lot of results. Tons of people are playing the game right now, having fun, and it is far more than worth it when you consider the type of game you can get nowadays for $70. Star Citizen will go down in history as being one of the most innovative and revolutionary and just downright cool player experiences that anyone has or ever will have. So there you go. I'm not ever going to talk about this in the comment section again. I'm not going to engage except for the comment section of this video. And if you want to join the Discord and talk to me about it, I'm more than happy to have a discussion. If anybody ever says Star Citizen will never be finished, you're getting scammed, you just send them this video. I'll talk to them. All right. Let me know in the comments if you think that's valid, if you think I'm insane. Subscribe to the channel for more Star Citizen and Call of Duty and other FPS gameplay. And I'll see you guys later.